In this video, I'm going to talk about something that I call flow of consciousness tapping, which is more advanced and effective than the EFT Basic Recipe that we all learned first. Hi, my name is Stefan Gonick. I'm an expert EFT practitioner, trainer, and soulmate attraction mentor from EFTalive.com. All right, so first I'd like to start by quickly reviewing the EFT Basic Recipe so you'll understand where we're starting from and then what's different about flow of consciousness tapping. So in the EFT Basic Recipe, we start with the problem we're trying to tap on. We then come up with a phrase that tries to capture kind of the key element of that problem, and then we use that phrase to tap on every point. Now, one of the main concepts of EFT is that EFT is most effective when you tune in as precisely and completely as you can when you do the tapping. So that initial phrase, you try and pick a really good phrase, you try and really capture the essence of the problem, and then just use that phrase on every point. And we do that, that's why we call it the EFT Basic Recipe, because that's kind of the easiest thing to do when you first learn EFT. But there's no single phrase that really fully captures the problem, right? You cannot come with a single short phrase that's going to be thorough, because what we want to do is we want to tune in as exactly as we can, but also as fully as we can, right? We want to tap on our full experience of the problem. So a more advanced technique is what I call flow of consciousness tapping. And the idea behind this, it's kind of the next step beyond the basic recipe, is that you tune into the problem and you try and tune into many elements of it, not just kind of one key piece, but that original key piece that you might have come up with for initial phrase, but also all the different emotions you're having and different thoughts or beliefs that you're having, every negative element of that experience. Okay? So the way you then do the tapping process is you might start by coming up with a single phrase just like you would with the basic recipe, and you might use that phrase in the beginning, even though whatever the phrase is, I deep and profoundly love and accept myself. But then when you're doing the tapping, instead of just using that phrase at each point, you want to start including everything that you're feeling and experiencing at each point, right? So for instance, let's say I want to help with my fear of public speaking. And a typical basic recipe, EFT basic recipe way of doing that would be, even though I'm afraid of public speaking, which actually would not be a very good phrase, really what you want to do is get more specific about the fear, right? So even though I'm afraid that I'll say something stupid and be judged and rejected, that'd be a more accurate phrase. But notice what I just did there, right? I took this sort of global feeling, I'm afraid of public speaking, and I came up with a more specific aspect of it. But is it being afraid of saying something stupid and being judged and rejected, is that the only piece of the experience? Right? Is that the only problem I have with public speaking? Right? There may be other elements as well. So what I would do is try and include all of them. So even though I might start with that initial one, even though I'm afraid I'll say something stupid and be judged and rejected, I deeply and profoundly love and accept myself 3 times, right? And I'll start here. Okay, I'm afraid I'll say something stupid and be judged and rejected. Now I might start by just saying that same phrase a few times, but where this idea of flow of consciousness comes in is that as I notice something new coming up, I'm going to switch to that new thing. So, I'm afraid I'll say something stupid and people will judge me and reject me. I'm afraid of saying stupid. And then I'll realize, what I'm also afraid of is that people won't like what I'm talking about. So I'm afraid that people won't like what I'm saying, that, it's not going to be good enough, right? Now, there's another fear of judgment, but it's not the same as say something stupid. It's like my overall speech, is not going to be good enough, right? Or it might be one where, let's say when I was growing up, my sister would tease me when I would try and do a show and tell kind of thing with my family. And so I'm afraid that I'll be attacked. I'm afraid I'll be teased, things like that, right? And then I might be aware of this feeling that, I just feel like I'm not good enough, or people aren't going to be interested in what I have to say, or things like that. So the idea is that whatever is coming up into your consciousness, you just include that in your tapping. That's why I call it flow of consciousness tapping. So this is going to be more thorough and more specific than just coming up with a single phrase that's trying to capture everything, right? There's no way that you can possibly come up with one phrase that will capture everything. So what we do is we just tune into what we're experiencing, right? I might just kind of close my eyes, imagine myself on that stage, speaking in front of this big group, and just notice whatever I'm feeling and whatever I'm believing, negative feelings, negative beliefs, and just keep tapping on them. And now you don't want to jump around too fast. Like if something new comes up, you can do that on several points. Because if you say something new at every single point, then you're not really clearing any of these things that are coming up, right? You might even in the beginning spend a whole round of tapping through all the points on each new thing that comes into your consciousness. That would be good, because that way you're going to get a better sense of clearing it. But the basic idea here, as I said, is that as you're doing the tapping on the thing you're trying to address, whatever emotions you notice coming up, whatever negative beliefs you notice coming up, include them in the tapping. Much more effective than doing just the simple single phrase from the EFT Basic Recipe. It'll take your tapping to the next level. Be that much more effective. Now, if this was helpful, it'd be great if you let me know by clicking the like button. I also have a newsletter on my website at EFTalive.com that is called Tapping Tips for Your Success, that gives you bi-monthly newsletter articles that include practical ways that you can use EFT to enhance your life. The very first one is using EFT to effectively shift negative beliefs, which is a common thing that people struggle with. And that's the very first newsletter that you'll get. And then there's a whole list of other kinds of articles to help you use EFT to make your life better. All right. If you have any questions about any of this stuff, put them in the comments below and I'd be very happy to answer. You're welcome to subscribe to my channel to get more EFT videos to help you in your life. And I look forward to seeing you on the next video.